Wildcard weekend is here. Matt and I making picks for all of the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night games here. Who will advance to the divisional playoff round? Coming up on this episode of Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look into the NFL on the field and in the front office. With elite breakdowns, next-level analysis, and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL on Twitter. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day making picks for Wildcard weekend. Today's episode of P&W is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. So we're just going to go through this chronologically. Start Saturday, 2 Saturday games, 3 Sunday games, and a Monday nighter. 6 total games here, Wildcard weekend. First one up, 49ers hosting the Seattle Seahawks. The biggest spread on this one, too, is 10 points, kind of came down just to about 9.5 points here, according to our friends at BetOnline.
Quick question for you, a quick little topic. I mean, we're not going to spend too much time on it, but hey, the playoffs are here. We have 6 standalone games. I'm going to watch every snap of every one of them and love it. But as a fan, I feel a little shorted, for a playoff weekend, to be honest with you. And I just think Tua being out, Lamar now being out has a lot to do with that. And that's not the NFL's, control, obviously. And I'm not even pining for the Steelers or Lions to be in. It's just, if this was week 12, we'd say, it's a pretty good week of games. But if it, for wild card weekend, I want to be like, wow, this is going to be amazing.
There's not the real powerhouse matchup here.
Right.
And maybe, who knows, maybe 49ers Packers would have felt that way. Maybe that would have been the Monday nighter if the Packers got in. Maybe if there was, if the Steelers would have snuck in or the Lions would have snuck in here, it would have been a little bit more fun in some of these situations. And seeing 3 games of part 3s. The Dolphins,
that's interesting.
Third time, Ravens, Bengals for the third time, and that first game Saturday afternoon, Seahawks and 49ers for the third time.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's because we're going to see 2 third-string quarterbacks, which that's just unfortunate for us.
That is, yeah.
That's
tough. And congratulations to those teams for playing well enough earlier in the season that it didn't completely derail their season. And we're seeing we're going to see a third-string quarterback with the 49ers against the Seahawks as well, although that's a different scenario with how well that third-string quarterback has played versus what the Dolphins and the Ravens are looking at in their playoff games.
Yeah, let's dig into that game, of course. And you're right. The Ravens and Dolphins put enough money in the bank early in the season. They deserve it. That's not what I'm saying. It's just not to my viewing pleasure.
Yes. There could be some better matchups. I think you're right about that. That's fair.
Seattle's offense obviously is a tough time against this Niner D. I mean, I think Geno's going to be under a lot of stress. I don't think they'll have to blitz to get home. The young tackles for Seattle have hit a wall. Their receivers are dangerous, don't get me wrong. But I don't think Purdy's going to have to be challenged all that much in this game. If I were Seattle, I think I'd come after him and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, I know he's handled blitz well, but what do you have to lose? I mean, if I'm Pete Carroll, I might have a surprise onside or something like that in this game too. And my hunch is in the kicking game, we may see several fakes or onsides, things like that this weekend, because there's teams like Miami and Baltimore and, maybe Seattle that might be a little desperate in that way. But I think 9.5 still is not enough.
And we've already seen that this year from Pete Carroll. Throw
a
little tricky stuff, and it hasn't worked out great. They threw an interception with a halfback pass. He ran out there with 4 running backs in one play. And so I expect to see some things, and Pete trying to level the playing field because his team is less talented than the team across from him. And there's a reason the 49ers are favored by, more than 1 score in this game. But it's a division game. And how big of a factor, Matt? There's 2 big factors in this game. Well, there's 3, I think, but there's 2 really big ones to me that stand out more than anything else. The third was just Pete Carroll, familiar coaches, familiar teams, division rivals playing for the third time. Hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. That's one thing. But there's two bigger ones. Another one on the coaching side of things is the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll, who's a pretty darn good football coach, is the first team that's going to get to see Brock Purdy for the second time.
Yeah.
You've got a handful of games. You got a half dozen games of tape to look at now. You've got tape to look at from your own specific team, and you've gone through a game scheming against the 49ers with this lineup and this group. So do you think that levels the playing field a little bit for Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks?
We often use the references, that quarterbacks are often like a pitcher that goes through the league the second time. I mean, gathering film on them. Yeah, that's another hurdle any young or inexperienced quarterback has to get over is once people have a book on you, how do you zag after everyone zigs on you? So we'll see. I mean, I guess that is a hurdle. I just don't know if Purdy's going to have enough on his plate for it to matter. I think there'll be a lot of quick throws to Kittle and especially McCaffrey. Run game. I mean, I don't think he's going to be sitting back there on 5-7 step drops trying to read coverage and deliver the football because the Niners D so good.
The other leveling factor potentially in this game is the weather. And in California, I mean, I'm seeing these pictures of like rainfall and drought stages that are getting turned, the clock's getting turned back 10 years with how much rain. It's literally only not rained one day in the Bay Area the entire year and really going back to Christmas. It's been raining every day. This is the type of storms and rain you just don't see a lot in California, which is, it's good and sometimes could be bad for trying to play a football game in it. Should be wind should be rain and wind in Santa Clara on Saturday. Could be some sideways rain there. Do you think that is an advantage for one way or the other? Because
yes,
with the 49ers, they can run the ball and they can defend the run. So if it slows down the passing games, maybe that still helps the 49ers. But also if you're the 49ers, you probably don't want weirdness and extra turnovers because you want to be able to go beat a team that you're better than with the most even conditions.
I think it absolutely always helps the underdog. And your squad is absolutely able to handle a game like that in terms of, like you said, they run the ball, they stop the run. That being said, I'm sure the field's going to be sloppy or Bosa's get off isn't going to be as good. I always think pass rushers when I think soft turf more so than route runners, and nobody rushes a passer better than Niners or has better get off than the Niners. And you're right. Any weirdness helps narrows the playing field a little bit. I mean, the gap widens. Maybe a punt returner that Ray McLeod drops a punt that he wouldn't have. It slips through his hands. Or Debo misses one that's wide open, screaming across the middle because the ball's so slick. Or Purdy doesn't handle it great or whatever. Weather definitely helps Seattle to me.
So looking at this game, this is the way I feel about it. I think this game, just because, Niners Seahawks, it's a divisional matchup. The 9.5, 10 points scares me a little bit with that spread because I think this could be one of those games where it's a field goal. Robbie Gould is lining one up in bad conditions in the fourth quarter to try to win the game, or Niners by 3 touchdowns. And I'm trying to figure out which one it is. And I guess that's why the line is sort of right in the middle of those two things. But I have a feeling it's not going to be close to a 10-point game. It's going to be a 21-point game or a 3-point game.
Okay. I lean more towards the 21-point game. I'm going to lay the points.
I think I have to as well. The 49ers have looked really good against Seattle both times. I don't think this is like it was for the 49ers last year with the Los Angeles Rams, much more even teams. Those games were both closer in the regular season. Niners were on the road, even though there's a lot of Niners fans in LA for the NFC Championship game. You had an injured Jimmy Garoppolo last year in the playoffs. And now you have a guy in Brock Purdy who's healthy. And by the way, the 49ers injury report is as good as it's been all year long. They've got everybody, and Brock Purdy has all his weapons. So as long as the weather doesn't undo that, the 49ers are just too good across the board here. I got to give up the points and take those 49ers.
Yeah, and you often pick against the Niners. People have been listening for the last 18 weeks. So I'm with you.
You know what? That's what's going on with the Brock Purdy Niners, too, because it's like, that's too big of a spread. I'm going to go. I think the 49ers could win it, and I think that's kind of one of the things that could happen here. And if I'm on the fence about it, Niners by 6, and that's how I felt earlier on in the week. But the 49ers have been not only the best defense in the league and limiting most teams they play against, but they've been putting up 30 points a game too. So that's helped them
They're a juggernaut.
Cover all of these spreads. And I don't think the Seahawks are the team that's going to slow them down, and they haven't looked like it the first 2 meetings either. So got to give me the 49ers in this one.
Tend to agree.
Tons of games to get to next. We got Chargers, Jaguars Saturday, Dolphins, Bills. Giants, Vikings, Ravens, Bengals, and the Monday Nighter, Cowboys, Buccaneers, the preview and picks coming up. Today's episode brought to you in part by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs, post your job, get candidates hired fast and for free. That's what we're talking about with LinkedIn Jobs. And as a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members that you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. Go beyond the resume data with using insights from your job post, company, and your company and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I hope all you folks out there have taken our advice and tried Built Bars, because if you hadn't, you're missing out on a healthy treat that is actually extremely tasty. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. I don't know how they pack the flavor into it with low calorie, low fat, low sugar, with high protein, but they do it. If you want that delicious treat to help you into the new year, and a lot of people trying to hit their fitness goals to start the new year, this one can really help, because you won't feel bad about yourself. You won't derail your diet reaching for that snack if that snack you're reaching for is a Built Bar. Most Built Bars covered in 100% real chocolate that is delicious and really makes you feel like you're getting that treat, like you're not missing out on anything. Most Built Bars have only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And not only can you find Built Bars at built.com, of course, and get yourself a box there, but you can also find them on your store shelves, including at your local Walmart and Sam's Club. That's right. Get over to your local Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. Sam's Club as well has the 13-bar box, and of course, built.com. You can find all the fantastic flavors: churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut, almond, cookies and cream, double chocolate, you name it, you can find it as well at built.com. All right, thanks again, everybody, for making us your first listen. Check out everything else the network has to offer, and make sure you're subscribed up to the Locked On NFL channel, which is the home of Peacock and Williamson. Here we go. We've got some matchups that happen 3 times, but we've got Chargers Jaguars 2 in this one. Herbert against Lawrence. What a run the Jaguars win on at the end of the year to win the AFC South, get into the playoffs. They are facing the 10-7 Chargers. Matt, how do you see this game going Saturday night?
This is what I'm looking for the most. 2 young quarterbacks that I adore, that have some similarities. I mean, teams that are on the rise, in my opinion. Some obvious weaknesses too. Like if you listen to the spreadsheet or a podcast yesterday, the Chargers are at the bottom of the league in terms of playoff run defense. The Jags are at the bottom of the league in playoff pass defense. How much does that come into play? How these coaches attack the opponent. I think both offenses can do both well enough, or it can attack those weaknesses very much so. I think it could be a big ATN game. I just got a blurb on my phone 2 minutes ago that Mike Williams has been ruled out. And I know accidents happen, but I'm going to be very critical of Staley, the way he handled last game. Makes no sense to me. I don't trust him as a head coach in general. This is a cross-country road trip. You don't think of Jacksonville as a tough place to play, but those fans, when their team is good, like it is now, are rowdy and loud, and it's going to be a great environment. I'm taking the points. I don't know who I think wins this game. I think it's very, very equal, but I want the points.
Good point. Underrated aspect of this game, Los Angeles Chargers traveling 3,000 miles to Duval County to face those Jaguars. I like how the Jaguars are playing right now. I think this game could be very close. I wouldn't be shocked at any outcome if it's the Chargers or the Jaguars that advance, but give me the Jaguars at home by a field goal. And if I'm getting points on top of that with the Chargers favored by a point or 2, Jacksonville Jaguars, let's go.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to be a good one.
Sunday, and by the way, a lot of people want us to do the comparison with Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. We did that in the mailbag on Wednesday. So go back and listen to Wednesday's episode. Matt gave the
I prefer Herbert at the moment.
Matt gave Trevor Lawrence the hair, though. So
yeah, that's a good competition as well.
Yeah. We've got Dolphins Bills Sunday. Is this one too easy? Actually, I said earlier the spread was biggest with the Seahawks and the 49ers. That has changed. It's actually 13.5 now that the Buffalo Bills are favored over the Dolphins. Now that we know it's Skylar Thompson that will be starting at quarterback for those Miami Dolphins.
I mean, I don't know this is a fact that hasn't been announced, but I bet Hamlin's in the building. You know, I mean, things like that are going to be so emotional and so difficult place to play. I don't think this is even competitive. If it is at all, and I think this is the things we need to look at, is Miami really has nothing to lose. They're a blitz-happy defense anyway, but Allen handles pressure extremely well. I would leave corners on islands and attack Allen like crazy, hope he throws a couple to the wrong team, which he can do at times. And on the other side of the ball, I'm sticking with the run unless I'm down by 30. You know, I mean, I am going back to my Niner roots as a head coach and saying, I got to scheme up a run game. And then I'm taking play action, deep shots to Tyreek and Waddle and hope I connect on a couple. But I don't think this is a competitive game at all. And I think Buffalo wins by 30.
I am going to go the other way. And I do think the Buffalo Bills will win this game, but I think the Dolphins can come out with a game plan that can keep this one close enough. And a lot of it depends on if they can get Josh Allen to make a mistake. And he's been prone to making some mistakes this year.
You're right.
And there's two weaknesses that the Bills can be exploited on by the Dolphins. And one of them is who's covering one half of the field. And the Dolphins do have enough weapons to maybe get somebody loose and score some points there. And I think he nailed it with the game plan. They're going to try to run the heck out of the football. But teams have been able to hit the Bills with their Bills nickel package with the run. And so I think we're going to see a lot of,
that's a great point. I so wanted to say that, and you stole my thunder, because the Bills live in nickel, and right. Miami's going to bring out the big guys.
Right. So Miami's going to bring out the big guys, run against them on nickel, play action, see if you can hit somebody who's not Tre'Davious White on the other side. Although I think that Micah Hyde is going to play in this game. I don't know if that is 100% for certain yet, but that would be huge for that Bills defense, to have a guy in the middle of the field for when the Dolphins try to roll out and hit Tyreek on a deep over play action, right, and have Micah Hyde back there. So that would be massive for that Bills secondary, because that's where they can get got sometimes. And so that's what you're hoping for the Dolphins.
And people,
Xavier, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The safety thing's huge because there's a football aspect to the Hamlin injury too. I mean, he was the backup safety. I mean, they need Hamlin. He was playing well for them. You know what I mean? That's important.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is an avenue for this one to be close. It would be a huge upset, obviously, if the Dolphins did win this one. I don't think that's going to happen, but you start getting to the 2-touchdown range here, looking at the BetOnline, 13.5-point spread right now, and who knows if that continues to grow approaching Sunday. Give me the points with those Dolphins to at least be competitive here, a well-coached team.
Okay, I see it.
We've got the New York Giants and the Minnesota Vikings, Matt. This is a game that I think should be pretty close. The Vikings favored by 3 points at BetOnline, which I think is the perfect line here. I think you look at their records and the wildcard team that the Giants are, more big-name talent on the Vikings side, 13-14. You would think this would be more of a blowout scenario. I just don't think it's going to be that way.
I don't either. I mean, these teams play close games. I think the Giants know their formula. I think Barkley has a big day. I don't trust either defense all that much, to be honest with you. But the Giants' defensive line, to me, and the Vikings have some guys up front too, could be very disruptive. I think blocking some of the stud defensive players. Dexter Lawrence is having an unbelievable year, and Thibodeau's coming on, and the two edge rushers for the Vikes. So I think they keep this thing close with the defensive lines and maybe some big plays in the pocket. I'll take the points. I mean, +3 is enough for me. I think the Vikes probably win a close one, but like 17-16 or 21-20.
I think there could be a few more points, which is why I'm going to give up the points, because I do think the Vikings are going to come away with this one, but very narrowly. I don't think I would put my hard-earned cash on this one, but I've got the Vikings by 4, something like that. So I will go with the Vikings here and give up that field goal. That the Vikings can get it done at home against the New York Giants. But man, what a season's been for Brian Daboll if it does go that way.
Absolutely.
Next, we've got a couple of prime timers. Sunday night, it is the Ravens at the Bengals, and Monday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott at Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, of course, you can bet on all of these wildcard games at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis this season and any season. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. Of course, there's tons of NFL props, talking, draft props, Super Bowl props, coaching props, and NBA basketball, college hoops, men's and women's. You got esports. You got Vegas-style casino games even at BetOnline. So you can play a little blackjack in between sports bets, right? And, of course, get informed at BetOnline before you make those bets as well, with all the information and stats and news and even podcasts at BetOnline. Always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting information. Head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more at BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, here we go. A little prime time action. The Baltimore Ravens, who, and I'll read the statement here from Lamar Jackson, will not have Lamar Jackson in this football game at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals now favored by 8.5, and that line is definitely heading in the Bengals' favor now that we do have for certain the information from the horse's mouth. We've got a statement from Lamar Jackson. He said, "Thank you to everyone for your support and concerns regarding my injuries. I want to give you all an update as I am in the recovery process. I've suffered a PCL sprain, grade 2 sprain, on the borderline of a grade 3 sprain. There is still inflammation surrounding my knee, and my knee remains unstable. I'm still in good spirits as I continue with treatments on the road to recovery. I wish I could be out there with my guys more than anything, but I can't give up 100% of myself to my guys and fans. I'm still hopeful we still have a chance." So that is the message from Lamar Jackson. And if you don't know about grade 2s and grade 3s, grade 2 is partially torn, basically, and grade 3 basically becomes pretty much all the way torn. So it's a pretty nasty PCL injury that Lamar Jackson's dealing with right now.
Yeah, and we're not going to see him. And folks, this is when you don't have an agent to leak things to Schefter and guys like that to tell your side of the story. Why isn't he out there? I thought he was day to day. I thought he was week to week. Well, he doesn't have an agent leaking things to tell his side of the story. You have to send tweets like this. I mean, and that complicates the contract stuff and everything else, So I'm not blaming Lamar at all, but when you hear a tweet like this is why. Because
I'm sure, and this is great by Lamar too, because you're right. Yeah, you can't leak anything, and this really helps the fans feel better. It's like, okay, this guy's got a torn ligament in his knee.
Right.
And it's unstable. He can't go out there and play. And he probably would be, he wouldn't be 100%. So he might not be helping your team that much being out there, and he'd be hurting his own future. Doesn't mean he doesn't want to be out there and play for your franchise and be out there with his teammates. So I'm glad he put this message out there.
Yeah. I like the Bengals huge here, similar to Bills. However, I could see Harbaugh defense and special teaming this thing to keep it close for a while. I mean, maybe they confuse Burrow, hit Burrow. The right side of the Bengals line is replacement players right now. That worries me, big picture for Cincinnati. The Ravens are tremendous on special teams. I have great respect for the Ravens D. So this might be a close game at the half, but when it's all said and done, I don't think the Ravens are going to get first downs. That they're going to lose a time possession battle just too bad, and Cincy blows the doors off them late.
Right, like it ends up being you don't even have to go over, it's 24-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know what the Ravens offense produces any yardage.
And while the spread has gotten larger, 8.5 now at BetOnline, the Bengals are favored. The over-under's gone down to 40.5. So that's telling that same story.
Right. Does Baltimore get to 10? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And what this is what the bummer, you talked about how the games might go and how it might not be the greatest weekend of football in the wild card weekend, that all 3 Sunday games with the road underdog is just going to be them trying to run the ball and even the playing field to beat the home favorites, the Dolphins, the Giants, and the Ravens. We've kind of talked about how they're all going to have kind of the same game plan.
Right. And I think we pulled out the stat the other day that all the top teams in EPA are the passing teams. That's all they got in their. They don't have the driver. They don't have their 2-iron. They have a 5-iron, and that's all they got. So they got to putt with it. They got to drive with it, and that's just hard. Not that I know anything about golf other than that.
And how about the Monday nighter? We've got the Dallas Cowboys that had a better record and really were a better team all year long, but since they're the wild card team and the Buccaneers won their division, the Bucs are at 8-9 hosting those Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys favored by 2.5. It looks like started at 3 down to 2.5 now. The Cowboys are favored on the road.
The old rules of the Football Today podcast were if it's 3 or over, you can do the cup of mud and the upset special. So I can't go screaming that one right now. Okay. But I think the Bucs win at home. I really do. I mean, Dallas has one good corner right now, and it's a revolving door at that other spot. I think Brady targets the other guy 20 times. You know, we know he's just real ruthless when he finds any kind of issue. The Bucs O-line is actually in the best shape it's been probably all year. I'm not overreacting to Tampa having a good game last week, but it's in their building. I'm not big on the Dallas coaching staff. If they can't rush the passer extremely well, I think their defense gets exposed. And Tampa, I think, has enough on D to keep this thing close.
The Cowboys' pass defense has been a little worrisome. And I see this game being the Cowboys are up. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers come back late in the game. Can they come back to win it? This is what's frustrating. So a lot of times I go through the games. I'm like, okay, what would I set the line at? Who I think is going to be in, Giants, Vikings. I was like, okay, I probably have Vikings by 3. And I look at the lines and it's Vikings by 3. It's like, okay. And the Cowboys and Bucs was the same way. It's like probably Cowboys by 3 is what I would say in this game. And that's what the line was. It went to 2.5 though. So I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys now, give up 2.5 because I think the Cowboys are going to win this one by a field goal. I think they're going to have a lead. I think Tom Brady's going to bring the Buccaneers back, but they're going to fall just a little bit short. And it will be the Cowboys that advance here.
Yeah, I just think one game won't go to chalk, and this is I'll bet on Brady to be that game.
You could probably make an argument with this game with Brady, with the talent. The Buccaneers have too much talent to be as bad as they've been all year long.
Sure,
playoff Tom Brady, the assassin, Dak, and the Cowboys. I could see this game ending in a 19-16, or it could end up being 41-38. I have no idea, or it could be one team blows out the other. This is definitely the wild card of wild card weekend of what scenarios could play out Monday night with the Cowboys and the Bucs.
I absolutely think it's a Brady game, though, for better or worse. I mean, he's either going to win it or lose it because I don't think they're even going to try to run the ball. They're so bad at it, and it just is not what they do well. So, hey, Tom, getting the shotgun, get it out super quick so Parsons doesn't plaster you. Take some shots downfield against that number 2 corner. And if he's on, they're going to be right in it.
How about this for the dark horse matchup in this game? Leonard Fournette against Micah Parsons with those chip blocks, right?
Yeah.
245 pounds or whatever Leonard Fournette weighs these days, trying to put his shoulder in Micah Parsons' chest to slow him down so Tom Brady has time before he leaks out for maybe a dump off.
Yeah, and Dak's going to need to protect the ball. He's I'm a big Dak believer. I think he's gotten too much heat lately, but the turnovers have been very real, and that's an issue.
There you have it. Wild card playoff weekend. Playoffs are here. Matt and I will have it all broken down Monday. Make sure you tune in to everything the network has to offer here. Thanks for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Matt and I back Monday right here. Peacock and Williamson.